Welcome, Sal. Thank you for joining us today. Uh, you are a deputy sheriff. Is that accurate?
That is accurate.
And you are. Your job revolves around pursuing gangs, criminalist gangs. Yes.
Yes.
All right. And and you want to start a podcast. This is what I really want to talk about. You want to start a podcast where you talk to your fellow police officers, peace officer friends, where you're not just gonna shoot the shit. This isn't a fun podcast. Like you want to clear the air. It seems like there's something on your mind about how the public perceives police and how police perceive the public, and there seems to be some sort of misunderstanding, and I think you can help shed light to us civilians who just don't get it, right? We don't get it. And there's maybe some parts of the civilian that you do see, because you play both roles. You're a civilian and you're a police officer.
Right.
But for the most part, do you see the world through the lens of a police officer even when you're a civilian, or are you open enough to see things as the civilian as well?
Right. Just to clarify, like you said earlier, the podcast is zero fun. We want to have zero fun at the podcast. But no, I really do want to get into those issues because it's kind of like a process, right? As you get older, you start to, as a matter of fact, like when you first get on the department, like when I first got on the department, I was, maybe my ego got a little blown up, right? Like I have this new power, and it is a lot of power. So, you go through the stages of like, okay, this is my mission. I'm this cop with the badge and gun, and you do take on that role a little bit, and then your mission is to, you feel like you're doing a good job, like you feel like you're making a difference. You're going out there, you're chasing all these guys, and yeah, so your view gets skewed, and the way you interact with people, it's a sharpening. And even today, like still today, I walk past people, and I can in the background I still sense that, like, not that I'm better than you, but I'm like watching you. It's always there, but now the process for me has been like being more expressive and being friendlier with people, because that's exactly what got us in trouble in the first place, right? It's like the absolute disconnect between the people and the police. It became a us versus them, and obviously that's not the way it's supposed to be, and that's not necessarily how police officers really see it. We see it as like and I say we loosely, because not we're all individual people, but for the most part, we see ourselves as like, hey, we're doing what needs to be done. And I don't really see, I know there are instances where that isn't the case, and it appears from the public's perspective that we're out there, harassing or whatever it is, whatever the case may be. The reality of it is that nobody knows. Only that deputy sheriff or that police officer, whoever's doing that traffic stop, what their intention is, and what actually is going on in their cities. So it's complicated, man. Which is exactly why I want to do this. Like, there's so much to talk about.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating.
Because it is frustrating, right? I can see the frustration in you, and it's just your want to kind of clear the air and kind of see the places, because it's very obvious to me. I've that these incidents where police abuse their power, or they seem to take things too far, or there seems to be that they took things too far because somebody started recording them and they didn't catch what happened previously.
Sure.
And there's a lot of that, and there also is police officers that do take things too far, that they do take their power trip too far. But it seems to me that it's really not that many. Like, it's very few police officers that allow themselves to take that too far. But it also seems to me that when it does happen, it seems to be one person taking it too far and the police officers around them not doing anything about it. And like, some people would say that it's everybody's duty to like interrupt something from somebody from getting hurt, essentially, in any way. So when you see a video of like it hurts people, right? Because you're not supposed to, that's not your job to be doing that.
Right.
It from our point of view, like, your job is to keep the peace.
For
like
sure.
it's to keep the safe streets. So how is this helping? Like, how is this person gasping for air? But I also like to point out that it's rare. But it just, from our point of view, it shouldn't happen. Like, it's like for us, it's like for the civilians, I'll claim the civilians for now. It's like it's few guys that are willing to do this. But for us, we see it like a pilot. Like, we can't handle a pilot just being reckless. Like, we need you to keep your shit together at all times.
For sure.
Right? And this is why you have this job. We trust you with this position. Right? Because we need you to step up for us.
For sure.
It's not for all of us. We can't do it.
For sure.
Right? I can't walk around and be super alert as to what people are doing with their hands in their pockets and shit, right? Like,
absolutely.
It's a particular type of person, and I feel like because of the system that we're in, a lot of people who are police officers, when they became police officers, are just looking for a job. They're just looking for a way to support their family. Others that's their calling. Like, and those are the great ones. Like the ones that really want to do it, and they really want to understand their oath, and they want to keep the peace, and they're out there for the people. And then there's the guy that just wants the paycheck, and he wants to do good, but he's mostly gonna just fall in line with what's already happening in the system. And the system is corrupt. There's a lot of things that don't make sense.
For sure.
And it's hard to make sense of them, right? Because, like, even if you were to ask your lieutenant, he doesn't necessarily know why things are like that either, So from your point of view, and as far as the things that you have the ability to clear up with your friends, particularly because you guys are in it, and what can you tell us civilians about interacting with police? What can you tell us about, is there something within the police that you guys are talking about within yourselves? Like, you can see that there's a lot of things wrong, and you can see the roles that you're playing in there. Can you tell us something about how to clear up this mess up, like this misunderstanding between all of us? Like, how can we do it? How can you do it? What can we do today?
That's a loaded question.
Sure.
Yeah, to be honest, nothing specifically is coming to mind. The only thing that's coming to mind is, like, you mentioned our lieutenants. Like, our lieutenants, they give us direct, like, we're basically putting out fires at this point, right? Or that's why they call it the thin blue line. Is like, we're just holding the line, man. Like, society is crumbling on itself. They're eating each other. They're killing each other, stabbing, robbing, pillaging, raping, murder, all of it. And we're just there literally responding and, like, putting out these fires. And if we catch a guy, beautiful. And then we try to ask the population for help. Like, hey, did you see anything? Nah, I didn't see shit. So obviously it's really deep, man. It's super deep.
Because we don't feel comfortable talking to you, right?
But why is it because of us, or is it because of the gangsters?
No, I'll tell you. What do you mean?
Like, because if in these in pretty much
Why
all
society
places.
doesn't feel comfortable talking to cops?
Yeah, it's not, I would say it's not so much about the cops. It's more so about the retaliation they fear about other gangs. If you tell on anybody, if you tell on me, I'm gonna be mad at you. Like we're just taught not to tell on each other, and there is some value to that.
Snitches get stitches,
Snitches
right?
get stitches.
Everybody knows.
So that's, that it is what it is. But for me, what I'm trying to do is like I want to talk, just start talking about these ideas because there is like a level of professionalism within our own rank and structure. Like I can talk to like certain sergeants because I've been on the department for, you know, 15 years now. So like I know guys who are sergeants, so they're my friends. But there is a gap. It's like a military structure, right? You don't become friends with your supervisors in the military. There's like you can be, there's a certain
You're on a need to know basis. Don't take it further than that.
or even just like a personal connection. Like, hey, I care about you and I want you to succeed and I want the mission to succeed. But there is a level of disconnect there. So my goal is to kind of like eventually bridge that gap and like, hey, let's talk about all this stuff. Let's see where it goes. I mean, everything's obviously the way the world perceives us, and the way a lot of the media portrays us to be is like we're basically dog shit, right? Like I know the mass majority of the people understand the true value of police officers, and they know that they're doing the right thing, and they know that they whatever all the good stuff. But there is some misunderstanding, and it's kind of like whatever we've been doing right now up until this point it's not working, it's not totally efficient, or else all this shit wouldn't be happening. That cop wouldn't have done whatever he did and killed that guy and whoever countless other ones there have been. So like
here's a disconnect that I have that I see with civilians and cops is the reason we don't trust cops is because it seems to be that you are legally allowed to lie to me in order to get me to say something to incriminate myself. And I can't do that. Like you can't do that to me right now on a like we can't do that to each other. Like civilians can't like trap each other like that, So it seems like this position that you have to where you're legally allowed to do it and encouraged. Like, yeah, tell him what he's got to hear. Like, play good cop, bad cop. Like whatever you got to do so he gives you information, right? And it's usually incriminating to ourselves. And we don't want to go to jail for selling drugs or for doing something that's not a violent crime.
Right.
A lot of civilians feel like if it's not violent, why are you putting me in a cage for it?
Right.
Like
and
if
that's
anything,
the real problem.
Yeah.
The problem is the actual laws.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like because those tactics, guess what? They work as well for finding kids who are kidnapped or like.
But imagine there was a law where you weren't allowed to talk to me unless there was an attorney present. Yeah. Instead of having me to take it upon myself to know that I have to ask for an attorney. Things would be way different, right?
Yeah.
Because the lawyer would be like,
zip
it. So even you recognize like people would essentially get away with things.
Yeah.
If they didn't talk.
Right. they didn't talk. Yeah. I like to look at it the like when I
take that out of today. That's the most important bit so far.
Also take this out of today.
Yeah.
I like there's different levels to the game of moral or criminals of crime, right?
Yeah,
so so when I interview dudes who maybe have just shot somebody,
potential gang members you're interviewing, or
99% of the time they're actually 100% of the time they're probably gang members. If I'm arresting you, because my job is specific to that, I'm always interviewing gang members. So like my goal is, man, there's actual victims behind these cases, right? It's like,
yeah, absolutely.
I'm trying to really. It's a weird position too, because like, is it my place to hold this guy responsible? Who's really responsible for that? The people are like, we should all be responsible for putting these guys. You know, my job happens to be specifically tailored for that. So when I do have these conversations with them, I try to come at them from like a moral place, or like a person to person. And the reason I want them to tell me the truth is because, man, they're gonna feel, first of all, they've already done what they did, and I know that they did it. So like, I have enough evidence. If I have enough evidence to arrest you, and I'm talking about me specifically in my cases, I'm not claiming to be the best detective, but like, I know I'm not the best detective, but what I do is like, I know I have enough to arrest you, and I'm pretty sure, if not, you know, each case is different, but I have you there for a reason, and I want you to tell me, because, like, man, you're gonna go to jail no matter what. And for me, it's like, dude, do you really want to live with that for the rest of your life? Like, and I know a lot of guys do. It's actually kind of hilarious, man. When I worked in jail for 4 years. And I swear, this is not even a fluff stat. Let's just say out of 50, it's probably more than that. Out of 50 guys who I asked, hey, what are you in jail for? Murder, burglary, robbery. None of them admitted it.
They're all innocent.
Nobody ever admitted guilt, bro. It's fucking crazy. It was really
So how did they get imprisoned?
Because they're guilty. Because they did it.
There was witnesses?
I don't know the specifics of the cases, but
nobody's ever fessing up to it.
No. There's the opposite of extreme ownership in the jail system.
The thing is, it's not only in the jail system. It's in the human system. Like, we don't want to admit anything negative. Yeah. No, that wasn't me. That was that guy. We're always looking to point fingers outside of ourselves.
Look what's happening. They're blaming everything on the police. I'm like, dude, when I think about police reform, there's a lot of things we can do different. And there are a lot of good ideas out there, which we should do. But the big thing is, it's not really have to do with the police. It has more to do with the people and the communities. And it starts with ownership, and it starts with communities owning their environment, where they live. Like hey, you see a gangster and those guys are you know, throwing gang signs or, you know, shooting. Like, damn, tell us who they are. You know, that's a whole different element. Okay, we get those guys. We start pulling these guys out. Now we got to change that system. Okay, you know, we got to forgive them. Maybe this guy didn't have a dad or a mom, or he was abused, he has all this trauma. Like, okay, now we got to fix that system. He committed the crime, but now we got to fix that.
So you're saying, like, yeah, let's get that guy off the streets because he's dangerous. He's freaking waving guns around.
Mm-hmm.
But the solution isn't necessarily throwing him in a cage and threatening him with him being in the cage forever.
Right.
Like, you're thinking maybe there's some proactive education where we can kind of actually help this guy rather than kind of throw him in a cage with all these other criminals.
Right.
Well, how's he gonna be anything else other than a criminal if he's just surrounded by criminals? Are you proposing? Are these actual ideas that are floating around? Where a program like this of some sort?
I mean, there's all kinds of programs. There's work release programs for low level offenses.
What's a low level offense?
I don't know, maybe a burglary.
So you're pretty much dealing with actual crimes.
Yeah.
You're not.
Yeah, the crime. I'm lucky.
You're not dealing with people that have too many parking tickets or something.
0.
Okay, so you have actual criminals in your mind. So in your world at work, when you show up to work, you have paperwork filled with criminals.
Case after case after case after case after case after case, and there's a lot of us.
Of robbery, murder, assault, all this stuff. These are actual crimes.
Gangs committed for the benefit of street gangs.
I see. So this is different. This is where we do need peace officers out there doing the detective work, right?
Yeah.
I think what civilians are mostly pissed off about is the giving us tickets and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, why are you giving us tickets, man?
Bullshit. I agree, dude. Nobody likes a ticket.
Yeah, right? So, but that used to be part of your job. You weren't always a detective. You would actually be encouraged, like, go out there, be proactive, give people tickets. for speeding, for running red lights, for drinking and driving, for
So, okay, we've talked about this many times.
not drinking and driving.
Not drinking and driving. But I'm saying like the type of police officer and police culture, and it depends on from station to city to department, state. There's so many different, like, we're not all the same.
Yeah.
You know, like,
That's one good note to take in. We're not all the same.
yeah, like look at somewhere in Orange County by Villa Park. I got pulled over the other day, and the cop. This was at the height of all the BLM stuff and George Floyd, and he pulled me over. I'm like, why is this cop even pulling me over? Because in my mind, I'm like, all cops are gonna stop working. Like, we can't. Everybody's really upset, so it'd behoove police officers to just calm down for a little bit, take a breather. Like, give everybody some space and let everybody settle down, and then hopefully we'll just start rebuilding. But anyway, this guy pulled me over, and he's like, oh, you did this and that. And I was just like...
What did you do? You ran a red light, you made a right turn on
I rolled the stop sign.
Okay.
But I guess that particular area, they get a lot of calls. I don't know if it's true or not, but that's what he deals with, right?
Yeah.
So that's what his bosses get him. Hey, there are a lot of people are rolling. Maybe some kid got hit. I don't know.
Yeah.
But in other places, dude, everybody you pull over doesn't have a license. Nobody has a license. Everybody has a warrant. That's a real thing. It could be dumb.
You can't say everybody. I highly doubt. Most people have a license. Most people have insurance.
This is based on your training experience and what?
Like on how many people I see at the freaking DMV, like trying to get their shit together.
Okay. All right. Yeah, it's unfair of me to say everybody, but what I'm as a police officer and having worked in that, I worked in Compton for 6 years. Let's
just say you have an eye for people that don't have documentation. I can tell that guy doesn't have his paperwork.
Yeah, that's an interesting topic too, like the idea of prejudice or racial profiling. It's like, hey, you know what? You can't pull somebody over just because that guy looks like a gangster. You can't do that. But if you see that guy, you take note of him, and now you get behind his car.
Now you find a different reason to pull him over.
You find an actual legal reason to pull him over. And guess what? Those are in abundance too. People don't have valid, it's out there, man. People are not, whatever, they're just, I don't know. But yeah, really, in all honesty, a lot of people that I pulled over either didn't have a license, or it could be anything small, whatever, warrants and all that, so.
All right, what is this, what do you know about this defunding the police people are talking about? What does that mean? And how does it apply to your department, or how does it affect the sheriff's department in general, or police? What do you know? Tell us.
All right.
Tell us what you know.
So defunding the police means different things to different people. Some people actually mean, I don't want a police department anymore. I don't want to replace you with social workers and, I don't know, firemen.
Social workers?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe for certain things. I know, yeah, it varies. There's all levels of them. They want to remove the police to let's remove 20% of the budget and replace any call for service that's domestic violence, replace it with a social worker, something of that sort. And then there's other, like what's happening with us, we have to, what's called CARP. I don't know what it stands for, but basically, since our position as investigators, it's not like frontline, it's not one of the major wheels of the sheriff's department. And those wheels, in order to move, they need personnel, meaning like the court wheel, patrol wheel, and the jail wheel. So they're filling us, they're pulling us out. So one day a week, they're pulling us from our job of investigating these crimes, these shootings, and now we have to go work the court.
Because why? Because they fired those people?
No, because the department can't pay for overtime anymore. Because the sheriff's department is super underfunded. Like, it's been underfunded for who knows how long. And it's always like a battle trying to get qualified people to hire. So there's a lot of that going on. There's there's been different ranges of, and we really don't know. We really don't know yet.
You don't know what it means yet.
No, I mean it could be.
But there's something happening.
Absolutely.
People are actually getting defunded. People are getting laid off.
The board of supervisors, they defunded the sheriff's department by X amount of money, which is being relayed to us. Is like a lot of the new guys who just got hired, they're gonna get something called like a pink slip, which means that they're no longer gonna be working with the sheriff's department, but they get like a slip, kind of like a I don't know, bond or some sort of like, hey, here's your ticket.
Jail free card.
Come back to the sheriff's department free card. You know, like it's just like, hey, here you're kind of laid off, but give us this paper, you're gonna get your job back once all this fixes itself. So there's words of that, but we won't know until like I think October.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well,
any solutions? Do you have any practical solutions for any real? Do you see things happening that you kind of piece together and be like, well, if we did this, things would definitely improve?
Nothing definitive, man. Like my biggest thing is like, at least it's been to help the police officer. That's all I really. Ultimately, I came down to, okay, what matters most to me? What has helped me the most? And obviously, meditation was a big thing. So I really love the idea. So people are putting all this responsibility on us already. We're like, damn, you got to be able to do this. You mentioned, recognizing somebody with the gun, that's like 0.1% of the job. You know, there's like, you have to wear so many hats. You have to be a therapist. You have to be the aggressor. You have to be peaceful. You have to be courteous. You have to be professional. You have to know the job. You have to know the systems. You have to know the databases. Like, it's so much shit, just like any other job, I imagine. But the stake here is you know, your life sometimes. So it's a lot, man. So my thing is, I would like at least police officers or police departments to at least consider options for police officers. Not to say that we're the victims, but damn, I think there could be a lot of benefit. A lot of the incidents that we're referring to where things get out of hand is because the police officers are too wrapped up in the moment, and they're either they're in fear or they're out of aggression. So a lot of times it needs like, hey bro, step back, you know, like, I got this. You've been holding that dude's neck for a minute too long. Step back. Now I have the awareness, I have the stillness to make those decisions, to act in a better way, to you know. So I love that idea.
Introducing meditation so that we have a clearer mind when we're in the field.
Yes.
What about training? I've heard that maybe cops aren't getting enough training.
Absolutely. Jiu-jitsu. We need jiu-jitsu. We need a lot, man. So I heard this from there was one of the SEAL podcasts, and they were talking about like how the teams, they have three groups. Let's say A, B, and C. A team they're in Iraq, okay? A team's in Iraq, B team is training, and C team is off. So they're resting. And they rotate, boom. So I'm not sure I think they do like maybe 18-month rotation, something like that. I don't know how exactly it would work for police, but even the idea of like 5 days training, you know, whether it's jiu-jitsu, because trust me, we need more training, of course. What people don't realize is that we do get a lot of training. We do get a bunch of training, and the most important thing is like, you don't know what it's like. Nobody knows what it's like until you're actually in that position.
And that position rarely comes. So when it comes, you kind of freak out. Everybody would freak out.
Yeah, and every situation is so different. You can't train for it. Yeah, the only thing you can train is like
your mind, your breath.
Your breath, yeah.
If you practice that enough, then when these situations do arise, then you can probably control yourself a little bit better.
Yeah. That's
a great solution. I love it. Very practical.
Yeah.
There's an idea that's been going around. It's been mostly in my mind, but I'll share it with you.
Okay.
Because with the police, defunding the police thing going on, I'm wondering about the funding. Like, if we are defunding the police, because to me, police represent people who uphold policy. I mean, that's what the word means in itself when you just look it up.
Right.
And policy, you know, we get it confused with laws. And so, for the most part, in your case, it's different because you're dealing with actual crimes, actual criminals. But for the most part, when we look out, it's a already fairly city place. I mean, we live in a nice place,
right.
But you know, for here, the upholding the policy of like giving people tickets, you know, we all know inherently that that's only negatively affecting people of lower income, right? Because if I'm making a lot of money, I'll just pay my tickets. Like, it's not a big deal, right? It's not really going to affect me, but it's really going to affect the people that needed that money to support their family, and now, you know, they're a little bit short on groceries, and maybe they find themselves in a little bit desperate situation. They're willing to do something desperate, right? So I want to acknowledge things so that we're not backed into a corner, and the system is set up to like put pressure on people, and the ones that it really affects is the lower class people, and then it pushes people toward that. It pushes toward people the lower class. And so I wanted to start talking about funding peace officers, which their job is this: they look the same, they dress the same, maybe the colors are a little bit different or something, but they have a badge, they have a gun, they have
some wings,
maybe they have some wings, a jetpack or something. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Look, we're gonna have extra funding because so. But now your job is no longer to put people in jail,
right,
unless they're actually committing a real crime. And so if you say somebody does run a red light, you would still pull that person over, but only to make sure that they're okay, that and to warn them like of the dangers of making that kind of move in the future. Like, you can actually hurt yourself, you can hurt but at the end of it, you're going on about your day.
Don't people already know that though? And people still commit crime. People still drive crazy and recklessly.
But that's not a crime. So what I'm saying is the new job of the peace officer is just to stop that guy and make sure everything's okay with that guy.
Okay.
Not ask him for driver's license and insurance. You're essentially just going to make sure he's okay, warn him, and then send him on his way.
Right.
For the most part, though, you'll notice people aren't running red lights. We're good for the most part. We're not speeding that much. Sometimes we're speeding. If we're going dangerously fast, the peace officer would pull me over and he would warn me of the dangers of going super fast. I can cause an accident. I can actually hurt people. But giving me a ticket isn't going to prevent me from just speeding away the next time, right? But maybe when you come to me face to face and you acknowledge me, and you know, because it's not us versus them anymore. It's not you're no longer forcing authority over me, because you don't. Like, at the end of the day, like, we're just two human beings and we're trying to keep each other safe. And so when we just, and that's your position officially as a peace officer. So maybe the guy is a dickhead. Maybe he's a piece of shit, but you're not allowed to put him in a cage because he's a piece of shit. It's not illegal, and it's not a crime to put somebody in a cage or to be a piece of shit. Like, you can be a jerk. It's okay. Like, it's not okay. It's not okay with me. I'm not going to want to hang out around you, but I don't want to put you in a cage for it either, because I want you to figure out your shit.
So this asshole's driving every day, runs the same light, speeding, and then I'm the peace officer. I'm like, hey, what's up, JD? It's me again.
Yeah.
Like,
how many times? As many as it takes, until he does hurt somebody, and then you don't rub it in his face. If he does, you don't be like, see, I told you, motherfucker. No, like, you still see if he's okay. You're just there for the people in general, and you are that higher understanding. You are better than us. Like, your job is literally to be better than us.
Right.
And if you're not, then you can't do the job.
Yeah.
That like, at the end of I want to see, like, on a small scale. This is I understand that this is far-fetched what I'm saying right now.
You're deep into the future and optimism, but I like it. I love it.
You love it. Okay, I like that. I like it. You know, if we're able to have this high standard for peace officers and remove away this authority that they have over the people.
Yeah.
Where we're on the same level playing ground. Yes, I do have a gun, but I'm not gonna reach for it just because you're being aggressive to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I'm better than you. You really are. It's your job as a peace officer to be better.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, just a piece of shit civilian like me, I can barely get my shit together. I can't be a cop. I can't be a peace officer.
I can't even be mad at you turds.
I can't take an oath.
Yeah.
You know, like that. And that's another reason why civilians, they call out cops a lot on, you're not upholding your oath. I hear that a lot. You hear that?
Yeah.
And it's because the oath, you're saying the words peace officer, but out here, you never see it. You're not acting like a peace officer out here. Yeah. You're upholding policy instead, and then that's why we don't want to be around you. Like we see you walking down the street, and we're like, shit, man, do I have anything on me? You know, and so I want to eliminate that distance.
Yeah.
You know, and I know there's a lot of bureaucracy going on. There's a lot of people holding on to their jobs, and a lot of people that don't want something like this to play out.
Right.
But I think it would be good for the people. It's worth talking. It's worth mentioning, even if it's on a podcast that nobody watches. But I wanted to bring you on here because when you started talking about wanting to do a podcast where you're going to be talking to cops, I thought that was the best idea. You know, we want to see that. The people, the civilians, we want to see the cops' perspective. And we get it. We know it's not easy. And it's different. Like I want you to talk to different cops.
Yeah. You
know, not just like the sheriff's department, because that's one point of view. Like let's get other cops' point of view, because like you said, we're all different. We're all following different orders. Like some guys, they're just told to stand by the stop sign all day.
Right. Well, for sure, bro. And I appreciate it. And just so you know, I'm going to watch your podcast,
all right? Thanks, man.
Yeah, man. I think it's going back like when I graduated the Sheriff Academy and like I got my certificate, like that meant a lot to me. Like I was so like that's still, aside from like Ryan, I remember like certain days with Ryan and
your son Ryan.
My son Ryan. I mean, I have beautiful memories. I've been super blessed. But like I remember like getting the call to you know, hey, you got a date for the academy. I was super happy. Like awesome. I remember exactly where I was on the freeway, everything. And then also like your idea of peace officer, I mean that's what it says on my certificate. I'm a peace officer. We're all peace officers. So it's about like our own, like getting caught up in the momentum of the policy, and then like you get tainted because of the world. You see all the nastiness, man. It's like that's why I feel like we need to kind of like reground ourselves, refocus, and like you say, become like the Navy SEALs. You know, like Navy SEAL police or peace officers, because that's essentially what it is. Like you're not holding judgment. You're there to protect the people. You're really like a guardian. You're watching people, and you're like warning, like, hey, dude, you're on the wrong path. So I love it, bro.
And it's not personal, right? You just, I love it, brother. Thanks, man. Thanks for doing this with me, and hopefully we'll do it soon.
Cool.